Hello, MSOE fans, and welcome to the Raider Report, where we sit down with MSOE coaches to discuss all things Raider athletics, from game reactions to recruiting news and everything in between. The Raider Report has all the behind-the-scenes details and news you want. Our guest returning to the program this week is head coach of men's basketball, Kevin Hurd.
All right, Coach Hurd, welcome back to the program. You've got the Muskies coming in this Saturday to take on the squad. Give us a little scouting report on Lakeland.
Yeah, well, first, Happy New Year, right?
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. We're back, 2024 already. I feel like when I was a kid, we felt like we would have like flying cars by now,
right?
2024.
Hoverboards.
But here we are, like doing a pod instead. So it's great. So thanks for having me back. And Lakeland. So we got Lakeland coming up this Saturday at 7 p.m. right here in the Kern Center. And I think what's really fun about our league is there's a lot of different styles of play within our league. And so we're talking Lakeland specifically here. Going to shoot a lot of threes. Okay, they're going to spread the floor. I wouldn't say they're the biggest team we've played all year. You know, they mix in a couple guys that have size, but otherwise it's a lot of guards, and they really like to shoot the ball. They have the highest scoring offense within our conference. I think they're right around 84 or 85 points a game. So for us, as their opponent, and obviously here as the home team on the podcast here, we're going to try and do our best to, just make their shots difficult and kind of cut into their percentages and get them to take shots that we want them to take. So, but their coach does a great job with them, and they got a lot of experienced guys. So, just like any game that we play, it's always a challenge.
So let me ask you this. When it's a team like that that's going to bomb away threes and have a high offensive output, what do you focus on more as a coach? Is it we need to limit those opportunities and force them into bad shots? Or is it we need our offense to be humming along and we need to keep pace with them?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Well, I think, like as a coach, you're always talking about the continuous relationship between offense and defense, right? If you're taking good shots on the offensive end, hopefully you're getting to the free throw line and you're putting the ball in the basket, and that has an effect on your defense, right? You're not playing in transition as much. Playing transition defense at the college level is really hard. The game's really fast. The players have a lot of skill. So, sometimes you can get cross-matched there, as far as matchups go. But like I said, if you're taking good shots on offense, doing the things that you want to do that are important to your offense, usually that helps your defense out. But also on defense, right, if you're not getting stops or, you're giving up offensive rebounds and they're always at the free throw line, now you can't get out in transition, right? So there's always a relationship there between those two things. And I think just against them, offensively, we're going to try and do a really good job of getting the best shots that we can against them. And then hopefully that cuts into some of the open looks that they get on the other end. They're not out in transition as much. They play really fast. So if we can kind of slow them down by having good offense, I think that'll really help us. So obviously, if they want to shoot a lot of threes, you're talking about that maybe a little bit more than you normally would. But, like I said, I think it all comes down to us, what we do offensively and how we execute on defense.
For sure. Let's talk about the season as a whole a little bit. You guys are currently sitting at 6-10. It's been a streaky season, to say the least, excuse me. You guys dropped 5 in a row at one point, but then right around New Year's, you put a little streak together of 3 games in a row. Talk to me about the up and downs so far and where you guys kind of sit right now.
Well, I think the first time we did this pod, we talked about how young our team is. Yep. I mean, we have 16 players, 12 of them are freshmen or sophomores, right? And the only way to get experience is to go through those battles. And a young team, I would say we have been pretty inconsistent. And I would say that that's par for the course. But, within those losses, we talked about losing 5 in a row. There was an overtime game in there, a lot of single possession games. And obviously the score didn't go in our favor. We lost by single digits, but those were games where we felt like we could have won. And I feel like maybe with a more experienced group down the road, like those are going to go in our favor, and it's such a coach cliche thing to say, and it's boring, but success is not a straight line up. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, and hopefully over the course of these younger players' careers, like that bar is going to keep going up in our favor. But, if everybody just rolled out the balls and won every game, right, college athletics would be really easy, but that's just not how it is. And so for our guys, it's taking it game by game, practice by practice, trying to get better. And, people, it sounds like a good thing to say, right, in a situation like this, but that's really how we try to approach it, because that's the only way that we can focus on getting better every single day, right, is take every drill, every rep, really try to break it down. Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? And we're going to have good results as we showed kind of around the new year. I mean, those couple of wins were really important for us, at UW Stevens Point, which, I started my career there and have a tremendous amount of respect for. That's a tough place to play and win. And we did a lot of really good things in that game. And then, we played my alma mater, Carroll here, who's, done a lot of really good things in the CCIW, which is one of the strongest leagues in Division III. Like, that was another good win for us. And then, we came back in conference and we pulled a couple out, so. But inconsistency is going to be there. And now towards the end of the year, like, are we getting better? And can we turn those single possession games into Raider wins? And that's what we're trying to do.
For sure. And let's talk a little bit about, like you said, the ups and downs. You're still only in your second season as a head coach. I imagine when you're in season, it can get a little hectic. There's a lot on your plate: recruiting, travel, all that kind of stuff. Do you notice when the big runs are coming? Like, can you tell the team is slipping a little bit? Can you feel them kind of building? Obviously, you had that test at number 23 at the time, Illinois College, took them to the limit, 68-72. Then you have that exhibition against Green Bay, seeing some athletes, some competition you're not used to seeing every day. And then the 3-win streak comes. As you're getting more comfortable, is that predictable? Can you feel the ebbs and flows of the team?
Yeah, I think something that was really underrated for us this year is we were on semesters here for the first time in school history. Mm-hmm. And so we have a traditional winter break that just got done as of yesterday. School was back in session here. But our guys were doing nothing but playing basketball, right? So we really dived into video, did a lot of skill development, spend a little bit more time in the weight room. And I think maybe some of that physical confidence transferred over to the floor. I think learning from all the things that we were doing video-wise, I think really helped us during that time. But, in the past, when we would be on quarters and not on semesters, it was kind of, we were right back into school before everybody else was. And our break really wasn't that long. And so for our guys to spend a lot of time with each other doing basketball things, and then going and eating together and basically hanging out, you're kind of a professional basketball player, right? For, a month or so, which is what every kid wants to do who plays basketball. So, we really dived into the fundamentals of our program and what's important to us. And I like to think that really helped us a lot. And so, yeah, we did a lot of really good things. And, those teams that, you mentioned, Illinois College, very well coached team, they're still doing a tremendous job win-loss wise. So that was a really good game for us. And then, UW Green Bay, they've done a lot of really good things since we've played them. So, those were two really good tests for us. And I think that just, we created a good feeling in those games by executing and doing the things we want to do. And we just kept carrying those over to the following games. And the results were in our favor there.
I want to talk to you. Last time we talked a lot about Donovan Carter. He was a guy coming off an explosive 35-point performance. I want to talk to you about another one of your seniors, Jess Hartman. This might be a little bit of a low bar comparison to make, but he kind of seems like the TJ McConnell of the team.
I mean, that's a really good, he's a professional basketball player, so it's not a low bar at all. No, but maybe in terms of NBA players, maybe he's lower on the list, but the guy, has a clear role and does a great job. So I think that
the descriptors I'm about to use are pretty, sneaky athletic.
Right, yeah.
Heady guy, steady hand. Talk to me a little bit more about his role on the team, because you can tell when he comes on the court, he's definitely a leader. The team kind of settles in when he gets on the court. You can get more into your offensive sets. Tell me what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I just think, when I think of Jess, I think about a guy who just plays. It doesn't matter what the setting is. We could be at home. We could be, on the road. We could be, playing outside. It doesn't matter. He's just going to show up and he's going to play. And I think part of his development that he's gotten a lot better at is the vocal stuff. I think people, when they talk about leadership, there's different styles of it. But I think he's really grasped kind of that vocal leader type mentality. And, that's what he brings when he comes out of the court. So, that communication helps. But, for him, like I said, the thing that he does best is he just kind of plays. And it doesn't matter where, with who, he shows up and does his job. And, that sometimes, you need guys like that to help, steady a ship, if things aren't going your way or whatever. We know that we're going to get consistent energy and consistent, talk and just that consistent effort from him. I already mentioned that, but that's really just who he is, and he's done a really good job for us.
And now jumping over to one of your younger players, Mattis Dupiric. He's kind of been a Swiss Army knife for you guys. He hasn't gotten, the NAC Player of the Week like his brother Mason has.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like a Swiss Army knife, at least to my eye when watching the team. He can bang down low with the bigs. He can step out and hit open jump shots. Tell me a little bit about his versatility and what he can do for the lineup.
Yeah, I think, Mattis, and he's still a developing player, right? I mean, he's a sophomore, and I think he would agree that physically he's still growing into himself. So, from this year compared to last year, he has done a better job of playing inside and out. I would say last year he had a little bit more success playing on the perimeter maybe than he did inside. And this year, I think you're slowly starting to see that develop, and he'll get better, obviously, over time because he works really hard. Very, very smart kid. And I just think he understands what his strengths and his weaknesses are. And, as a younger player, I think he does, like all young players, he's had some inconsistency at times, but there are games where he really understands, all right, this is where I need to be. This is what I'm doing well. And he really tries to capitalize on those things. And you don't get there without knowing who you are. So I think he does a great job of that. And, to have a guy who can, step outside and hit a three, and also, we run some stuff for him inside. Like, that's a great, guy to have on your team. And I'm just excited to see him continue to get better and also bring his teammates along. Like, we talk about leadership. We have a lot of guys in the sophomore class that play. And that's something for our future that those guys need to develop. And, he's becoming a little bit more of a vocal guy. And so, we're just, excited to see him develop and see where he can go.
Let's talk a little bit about a guy I love watching play. Let's talk about our guy Anai. This is a guy who's carved out a nice little role for himself thus far this season. Not getting a ton of playing time, but definitely contributing minutes. He's an explosive guy. He's fast. He's got bounce. Sometimes I think the refs pick on him a little bit. It feels like the only thing that's holding him back is, getting into foul trouble. Tell me about what he brings to the table, and then what's his next step for this.
Do we get a lot of our refs listening to this pod? Because I don't want to say too much here.
That's a great question. I think we'll find out after this.
Yeah, we got to expand our audience here. But no, Anai, he's another guy who knows who he is. And he's worked really hard from his first year here in this program to the second year. And I think that was our challenge as a coaching staff, is figuring out where to put him and what does he do well, and try to limit the stuff that maybe he doesn't do so well. And I think for him, he didn't get a lot of playing time last year, and this year he's seen a little bit more. So I think part of that process, once again, another young player, is figuring out what he brings to the table, what he can give us consistently, and where to put him. But tremendous athlete. He listens to everything you tell him, does everything that you ask him to do. And so, he's another guy that, we're excited to see develop, and he's seen, some success in our system on both ends of the floor. And so how can we just continue to get better and be more consistent at it?
For sure. And now, Coach, everyone's favorite segment, Raider Rapid Fire. And
right.
The 5 questions. Here we go.
There's I've listened to the other pods, and there's been some really good answers. And so I want to try and, I don't want to say I want to try and top those, but I just want to be in that same realm here.
Yeah. Here we go. What's the worst stadium song? Overplayed, you just don't enjoy it. What's the worst thing
this is a great question. And here's the thing that I thought of right away, and I don't know if I'm cheating or not here, but I'm not a big fan of The Wave, and I know that's not a song, all right? But the Packers had an issue with people doing that, and I know you're not a Packers guy, being from Illinois, but I know the Packers had an issue with that because they wanted people to stop doing it, or stop cheering so loudly while they were on offense, and so The Wave. Not a big fan of that. So I don't know if that's a song, but I'm sticking with that answer.
No, I'll take that.
Okay.
That's just it's stadium ambiance.
Yeah,
say.
right. Yeah.
Dream car, real or fictional?
Oh man.
I'm not a big car guy, so I'm just throwing this out there.
Gosh, like dream car, like probably the Batmobile.
Okay,
probably.
Yeah. I was thinking Batmobile or Mystery Machine.
Yeah, right. I mean, Batmobile. Like I'm a huge Batman fan, so that would be huge. Like if we were going real car. I mean, my dad always told me stories of this. I think he had a Chevy Bel Air back in the day,
For sure.
or his dad did, and I don't even know what year, but. I've seen some old cars at some car shows here, and it's crazy to look at cars now and look at cars back then.
Especially thinking that's what they used to just drive around. Like you'd see 50 of the Cadillacs, or a Gran Torino, whatever, rolling down the street.
Yeah, right. So, but I'll definitely go with Batmobile. And
do you have a specific Batmobile you're picking? Is it like
I gotta go? One? Yeah, I gotta go recency bias. Yeah, I mean that Christian Bale one. Yeah, that series, that Batmobile, and then when he, when it exploded, and then he went into the motorcycle. Yeah, that was awesome. But yeah, it's funny. We started this podcast talking about flying cars, and now here we are. Right?
Didn't even know.
Yeah, now here we are.
Your favorite sports announcer? Any team, could be retired, could be still doing it right now.
Wow, Kevin Harlan's pretty good.
Okay,
like that guy's got some pretty good one-liners in there. And also his dad was obviously a Packer guy, so there's some bias there. So I would probably go Kevin Harlan for sure.
Gotta love that. Favorite place to eat? I'm gonna make this specifically to Milwaukee.
Wow, it's the Fultz Family Market inside the Milwaukee Public Market. Okay. So depending on where you walk in, if you walk in, let's see, that would be from the north side entrance. Okay, it's right on the left. Panini's Pizza. They have the best deal in there is they have truffle fries. You got to try them.
Okay.
Like a half order, it's huge, and it's like $4, and it's unbelievable.
Okay.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So I think it's Fultz Family Market is what they call. I mean, really, you can't go wrong anywhere in there. But that's probably the place. That's probably the place where I go the most. Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty sweet in there. And then the last one, your dream pickup basketball lineup. If the Martians are coming down and Kevin Hurd is in charge of defending the Earth, who are the other 4 people you got to play?
Okay, all right. So I'm included, and this is all time.
This is all time.
Okay, all right. So I mean,
also, are you running point? You run into?
Sure. Yeah. That's fine.
All right, you're in control.
Fine. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. I'll get some heat for it, but it's fine. Like my GOAT, greatest of all time. Michael Jordan's on the team, right? And then LeBron's on it. Okay. And then probably the underrated greatest of all time player, like Kareem, is in my lineup. Like if you have nobody's blocking that shot anyway. Right? Yeah. I mean, you're not blocking it. So you have to have that guy in there, right? And then obviously we're playing, you said the Martians are coming down, right? So we got to have some sort of freak in there. Yeah. So we got to have Giannis, right? I think we got a pretty good team. Maybe not, if I wanted maybe some perimeter shooting, I would maybe go Kevin Durant in there, right? Okay. And I know that's there's some recency bias there, but like I said, I'm a coach. I'm trying to, put the team out there that doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. So
you're out there,
right? Yeah. So right. So we got an unstoppable force on the inside, right? Then you got MJ and LeBron that could pretty much do everything, and then it's me and maybe Giannis or Kevin Durant. Like that's a pretty good team.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys lose that game, we know who's getting blamed. It's LeBron.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I mean, he gets enough criticism, right? What's a little more, right?
All righty, let's get back into it. Carson Cordelli and Chase Cummings are the other 2 guys we haven't mentioned yet that have played in every game outside of the DePurex and Donovan Carter. Yep. Chase fought through a black eye at one point. Yeah. He still was not deterred. He was on the court. Talk to me a little bit about those 2 and what makes them essential that they are on the court every game.
You know what's really crazy is you keep throwing out these names and they're all sophomores, right?
Yeah, right.
Isn't that pretty good for us moving forward? But I'll just start with Carson. Just an extremely competitive person. Just yesterday in practice, he was getting on me because he thought I missed some calls on him. Hold me accountable, right? That's really, really good stuff. But just an extremely competitive person, plays really hard. And I think from his freshman season where, he slowly started getting more minutes till now where, he's a starter for us and getting consistent minutes. He's just really bought into the things that we've talked about. He's a very good athlete, but from his freshman season to his sophomore year, his freshman year, he'd play a little bit too fast, a little bit out of control. And I think that the game is just slowed down for him, and he's playing with a lot more fundamentals. He's playing at different paces now rather than just running as fast as you can all the time. I mean, you have to play hard, obviously, but within the game, you have to play at different speeds. And, another guy who, just understands his weaknesses. I would say that he's not the best perimeter shooter. However, he's getting a lot better. He shoots a great percentage, and he just knows when to take them when he feels comfortable. And he's had a lot of success doing that. But otherwise, he knows who he is, ripping, getting to the basket, playing inside, screening, playing off of his teammates. Like, he's done a tremendous job improving from year 1 to year 2. And then, Chase Cummings, I mean, you talked about Mattis kind of being a Swiss Army knife. I mean, I think that that's him, maybe even more so. I mean, Chase does everything that we ask him to do. An extremely, extremely smart player. He'll play point guard for us. He'll play off the ball for us. He can guard posts on the inside if we play small because he knows exactly where the ball is, what technique we're playing, and he just competes. He's a guy that he can score 15 points for you, or he can score 4 points and get 8 rebounds and get 7 assists. Like, he can do everything out there. And I think, once again, just another young player, it's finding that consistent role based on his skills and what we're doing on both ends of the floor. And for him, like I said, he's had games where he's almost led us in scoring, and then he's had games where he's led us in rebounding and led us in assists, right? And so we can put him on the other team's best player on defense. We can go down and get him 15 points on the other end. Like, he really does everything for us. And I know that he's also another really competitive guy, really, really hard on himself. I wish he'd be a little bit less, but, he has really high expectations for himself. And so, we're obviously glad that he's in red and white. And, just once again, 2 more sophomores that, we're excited to see where those guys go.
For sure. A couple of very valuable pieces.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another couple of pieces to the team that don't get a lot of talk per se. Your assistant coaches. You've got 3 on your staff. Talk to me a little bit about the process from when you got the job to how do you put together your assistant coaches? What's your thought process?
Yeah, right. I mean, I think, the first thing at our level is obviously the best ability is availability, right? And so, last year, we brought Caleb Zegers on, David Analyst. So Caleb played with me at Carroll. We played together for 3 years, and he had a really tremendous high school career, played at Appleton East. I think there was a 2-year stretch where they lost 1 game. I think it was at the state tournament, 2 games, because unfortunately they never won a state title. They lost in the semifinals both years, but I'm pretty sure they were undefeated both years. So, it comes from a really good high school program. And, David, I coached him while he was at Carroll. I feel like that's me dating myself already, right? Getting a little bit up there. But, I coached him at Carroll, and he had a really interesting story. Comes from down near Miami, Florida, and he was recruited to Carroll here, loved it. And he didn't play his first 3 years. And he just kept working, and then he finally got consistent minutes as a senior. So, I looked at that scenario and, bringing those guys in with a bunch of young guys, like those 2 guys, what a better yin and yang to have, right? A guy who played a lot in Caleb in high school, really successful program, got minutes in college where, we were fortunate to have some success at that level. And then to David, who was kind of on the opposite end, didn't get a lot of playing time in college and just worked his butt off to get what he wanted. So those 2 guys, they're a really good mix off of each other. And, younger guys, I think helps, at times, to relate, to college athletes here. It's not, it's not obviously the only thing that you need, but I think there is something to that. And then, this year we brought on Michael Glass, Coach Glass. He had to bring up our average age of our staff a little bit. But no, he's been coaching for really, really long time. He was an official in the NBA and the CBA for a long time. So, he knows pretty much every official that we come across. And I don't know if that helps us or hurts us, right? But, he just has, just a tremendous amount of passion for developing young people. And he's done a lot in the community. I mean, he's coached pretty much everywhere at every level, and so I know our guys really appreciate having him in this year. And like I said, I just feel like we have a pretty good mix with those guys, and they're all passionate about being here, and that makes my job a heck of a lot easier. But they all just bring kind of something different to the table, and I think that was important for me. Just filling out a staff is you don't want people that agree with you all the time. That's a huge part of putting a staff together. And Caleb and I went through, our own battles as friends and then as players. And then coaching David, he didn't agree with me all the time, and I certainly didn't agree with him all the time. Right. And then, Coach Glass, the same way. Those guys are not afraid to give their opinions and speak up, which being in a new situation and being in a new place, like that can be a hard thing to do. But we all have the same passion for helping young people and playing good basketball and winning. And so I feel like it's a pretty good mix right now.
It definitely is, and you can see it all slowly coming together. Coach, just a couple more fun questions for you. Let's learn a little bit about who Coach Hurd is.
You did some homework here.
This
is really good.
I did. Not a ton of homework.
This is really good. Yeah.
But you're a documented Anthony Bourdain fan.
I am.
What are some places that you feel like you need to go check out from a culinary standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, just wow. I know for people who don't know him, I mean, Anthony, like he had obviously a lot of personal struggles that he went through, unfortunately, before, passing away here. But, just watching him, I know how much work like he put into the show. Like he would, spend a lot of time obviously doing all the things that he was doing on the show, but then he would edit the video and he would write his own monologues. And I just think that he had a really good passion for actually giving information to the people that were watching, right? So, I watched pretty much all of his shows coming up, No Reservations, The Layover, Parts Unknown, I mean, all those. And so, yeah, I mean, I know that he always had a really big appreciation for Italy. Like, I would love to go there. Like, I'm a history fan too. So, that would be a really cool place to go. But my favorite episode with him is he goes to this hunting lodge in Scotland. Okay. All right. And, it's this place pretty much on an island where you have to get to by boat. So I'm guessing, from a finance perspective, I'm probably never going to get there. But they go out and they hunt stag. Okay. And you know what stags are, right? It's like a cross between a deer and an elk pretty much. Okay. All right. And they're, you have to track stag like through like the Scottish Highlands basically. And he's walking like they're going hills and, they're trying to track these things and it's really difficult to do. And so that episode was really, really cool. So like to experience that's not a culinary standpoint, but to experience that would be pretty cool. But I know he always had an appreciation for Italy and Italy gets a lot of high remarks for their food. So I would probably say that from a culinary standpoint for sure.
And I mean, how could you not? I mean, if you like food, you like pasta.
Yeah,
Pasta's right. If you like food, pasta's probably somewhere on your list of favorite foods.
Well, the thing that they say is you go to those places and people always end up, losing a couple pounds when you go over there because you're walking everywhere and the food's so good. So it's like, well, I could probably, I'm in pretty good shape. I'm in pretty good shape, and maybe I could, lose 6 or 7 here. I'd be okay doing that. But yeah, so that would be that would be a good place to visit for sure.
You've also said you're a big Cillian.
Cillian.
Yeah,
Murphy. There you go.
I should know that. My a cousin of mine has a portrait of Cillian Murphy.
There you
tattooed,
go. Okay.
Like the size of his whole femur. It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
Can you give me a top 4 or a Mount Rushmore, or maybe just a deep cut that's not like the Dark Knight that maybe people haven't seen?
Yeah, right. So like Cillian Murphy, he's an Irish actor, and recency bias. Like he's probably going to win an Oscar for Oppenheimer, right? Yeah. I mean that's that was just a tremendous performance for all the people that made it through that movie, right? Long movie, but it was really, really good. I'm a huge Peaky Blinders fan on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, it's a really big drama series. I mean, a lot of huge, English actors are in that. Tom Hardy, why am I forgetting it? Well,
Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody. Yeah, Paul Anderson. Is that who plays Arthur, his brother? I think it's something Anderson. I have to check that out again. But so I'm a huge fan of that show. Inception, he was really good in. Mm-hmm. And then obviously the Batman stuff you already mentioned. Obviously he started in Batman Begins when he was Scarecrow, right? Mm-hmm. That was a huge one. Just like a deep cut, like you mentioned, off the wall. He did a really good job in The Heart of the Sea. I don't know if you saw that movie. I
don't know what that is.
That was a movie. Chris Hemsworth starred in it, and it was basically the recent adaptation of Moby Dick in the 1820s.
Okay.
Yep. So it was set in England in there, and I believe Cillian Murphy played Matthew Joy, I think was his character, so he did a really good job in that. But that one's kind of off, from the major ones that he did, the Oppenheimers, the Batman, stuff like that. Inception was obviously huge, so those are some really good ones.
And then just a personal favorite of mine, I have to ask: are you a 28 Days Later guy? Have you seen that one?
I have not seen that yet.
Okay,
yeah.
If you're not a scary movie guy, I'm not sure I can give it my full blessing, but as a guy who's not a scary movie guy, that's one of the few that I can tolerate.
Yeah. See, I'm not. Some of those movies, like I see those, like those really like scary horror thrillers, right? And I just look at them and I just look at the plot and I'm like, this is kind of dumb, So I don't, But he was in A Quiet Place too, right?
And that was really good.
In that, yeah.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. So I mean, those are a little bit off the wall, but and then he was in Dunkirk where he only had like 4 lines, right?
That was still probably most of anyone in the movie.
Right. Yeah. For like a good hour there, nobody said a thing. But yeah, he was the soldier that they rescued into the boat, right? And he didn't want to go back, and so yeah, he pretty much only had like 4 or 5 lines in there. But who knows? Who knows how much money he made from that? Probably a pretty good paycheck. But yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's pull the train in the station here, Coach. Let's get back on track. What else is on the horizon for Raider basketball? I know we've got Winterfest coming up.
Yeah, so Winterfest, that is the weekend of January 27th, 28th. January 27th is our Alumni Day, so we're going to have alums come in and play in the morning. Hopefully we don't have to, provide medical attention for too many of them, right? But last year, no, we had a record turnout for alums playing. We're just, so excited to bring those guys back, and they've obviously done a lot for our program, and to continue to have them support us and come see us play, and obviously usher in new alums, right? We have seniors on our team, and so it'll be good to see guys that I haven't been here too long, but guys that I've worked with here, and just as many guys as we can get back. That usually helps. And in that Winterfest, we play the 27th. We play Illinois Tech at home in the afternoon. We are honoring our 2018-2019 team. They won a regular season championship here in the NACC. I believe they were 21-5, 16-4 in the league. So I think that might be the most wins in a season by an MSOE men's basketball team in our history. So we're going to try and get as many of those guys back as we can, and honor at them either before the game or at halftime. We're still working through that. It's looking like more before the game now, but to have those guys back is pretty special. But all of our alums too. I mean, we've had a lot of success here. We've been really fortunate, and so hopefully for another record turnout is what we get in the morning for playing, and then obviously supporting us in the afternoon. So we're really, really looking forward to that. That'll be next weekend already, which is like creeping up really fast. So yeah, next weekend already. We're excited.
Yeah, so it's also weird to say that the old guard is coming back when it's the 18-19 championship team.
Yeah,
time's moving by.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fast.
Well, it is 2024 now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, the years are flying by. So,
but yes, a reminder that is January 27th. Men's basketball team taking on IIT. Coach, thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. This is fun again.
A special thank you to Coach Hurd for taking the time out of his day to talk to us, and thank you for listening. You can follow Raider Athletics on YouTube at MSOE Raider Athletics, and you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MSOE_Raiders. Don't forget to find us on Spotify too. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, repost, share, and get the word out to all your Raider friends and family. We want you to be heard. Mention us on social media and tell us what you want to hear about. Go Raiders!